Good morning, or good day, everyone, and welcome. An English word that I'm fond of is the word aspiration, to aspire. And I think part of the reason I like it is that from the Latin roots, French roots, it means to breathe. Aspire is like respiration, and just like inspiration as well. They all come from this root word for breathing, and pointing to the profundity of breathing, how it's deeply connected to so many things. And to connect our aspiration, our desires, to something that's so deep and integral and deeply connected to ourselves as the breathing, contributes to this idea for me that aspiration is a positive word for desire. It's a kind of desire that is not um, treated as somehow wrong in Buddhism. There's a kind of simplistic understanding in Buddhism that all desires are somehow wrong or should be transcended in some way. But there's a very important place for healthy, skillful desires and aspiration, to have the wish, to direct oneself towards a particular purpose and goal that comes out of the heart's wish, the heart's aspiration, the heart's calling maybe, or stirring that it wants something, it wants something. But it's a wanting, it's a desire that, because it comes from breathing, comes from a place of feeling full, comes from a place of being content and settled. It doesn't come from a sense of lack, that I don't have enough, I need more. It rather comes from, if anything, from a sense of contentment, fullness, like I have enough. And what seems to emerge in this very settled place, peaceful place, is an aspiration. And there are many that can be together or in the same person. Certainly the aspiration to somehow do good in the world. It's a beautiful thing. The aspiration to become free ourselves, to become free of the ways in which we're limited, the heart is shackled or contained, to become free from our attachments, our preoccupations and neurosis around me, myself, and mine. This is a phenomenally beautiful thing. And so sitting in meditation can be motivated by this aspiration. If we get settled enough, quiet enough maybe, to feel and sense that maybe at the root of where breathing begins, that there seems to be almost like a natural desire or wish or inclination towards something profound. So, if you like this kind of language, if you don't, you can ignore it here, what I'm about to say. As you take your meditation posture, make your body your temple. Make your body the meditation center. Let your body become the sacred grove in which you go to meditate. Let this body be appreciated as the field, as the territory, as the location for a deep connection to life, to oneself, to the depths of our stirring, depth of our aspiration about how to live this life. And to gently close your eyes and gently on the exhales relax your body. Might start at the top, your head and your face, relaxing, softening. Sometimes the facial muscles can hold a lot of discontent, wanting things to be different. And to relax those muscles of discontent, muscles of anxiety. And letting the relaxation descend into your shoulders, softening, gentling the shoulders. And to then moving down to the chest, the heart and the solar plexal area. Relax, soften. Sensing deep inside the torso to what can be relaxed and softened there. And moving the relaxation down into the belly. Softening in the belly. Down into the hips and the legs. Softening. And perhaps a final relaxation that's global throughout the body, releasing any holding in your body. And then feeling your way into your body, deep inside to maybe where breathing begins, or where aspiration arises from the depth of here. Letting there be an aspiration, connecting to whatever your aspiration is here and now, about how to be present. Aspiration of what to actualize in terms of being present directly, being free of attachments, fear. The aspiration to let the heart be free, the mind at peace, here and now. And with the word aspiration, meaning and etymologically to breathe, perhaps you can allow a gentle aspiration to be present, to be free, to let go, to be there with every breath, breathing in and breathing out. as you're here in the present moment the best you can, being mindful, being present for what is. You're breathing in and breathing out. Let there be an aspiration to be present. Connect to, find an aspiration that supports you in wanting to be present here and now. Perhaps so you can be connected to something that takes you to the depths of your life. And then as we come to the end of the sitting, to imagine that as you exhale, the exhaling breath carries with it whatever wishes you have for the world. And if those wishes are wishes of ill will, you'll spread seeds of ill will that'll sprout all over. But if you breathe out goodwill, those will be the seeds that you'll spread across this world. Perhaps in some deep place inside, below all the layers of challenging feelings and experiences you've had, maybe there's a place that you have goodwill for this world, where you aspire to spread goodwill around everywhere, perhaps as seeds. So as you exhale, may these words that I speak as I speak these words, may your exhale carry your goodwill, your aspiration for goodness in this world. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free. And may everything your breath touches, may it receive your well-wishing. Thank you. So, come to the third talk. That's a series called Conditioned Consciousness. And the idea that the way that we perceive or experience or construct the sense of consciousness is something that is conditioned. It's constructed or influenced by all kinds of other factors, and in our minds and our hearts and in our life. And that as we start understanding some of these conditions, some of these influences for how we put together the idea of consciousness, that we can appreciate how much some conditions create a consciousness which doesn't feel so good, and others help produce one that feels wonderful. And so today I want to talk about the range, or the distinction between craving and aspiring. Craving is considered to be a form of suffering in Buddhism. It's a craving, it has a compulsion to it that kind of, if it's strong, has us by the throat or by the nose, pulling us around, and we're not very free. The only freedom we can find with intense compulsion, there's two kinds of freedoms you can find, but with the craving itself, there can be a sense of freedom when we give into it. But it's kind of just going along, giving in to attachment, so it has free reign. It's not a real freedom. The second kind of freedom we can discover is we can have craving, but we don't succumb to it, we don't give into it. We have the ability to see that we're craving and not pick it up, not get involved. Enough so that we have a broader sense of awareness, of presence, of attention to it. And part of the effect of craving, it tends to, like other tensions, it tends to narrow the range of consciousness. Attention tends to be focused now on the object of the craving. And so it could be a laser focus, it could be a narrowing of the field, it can be things get smaller and tight, and kind of both tense and agitated. Sometimes hot, sometimes there's a feeling of pressure that comes with craving. Kind of like it's saying it has to be now. But craving is a relatively shallow, as powerful as it can be, is a kind of a shallow segment or layer of the mind that keeps us somehow alienated from ourselves, disconnected, partly because we're constantly looking outside for the object of craving, and so we can't settle back into ourselves. As we settle back and relax and really find a place to rest inside, where we're free of craving, free of that compulsion, agitation, contraction, with time we can start discovering that there are well springs of desire, of wishes, of aspiration that arise from in, that it can occur without any compulsion. And that those, because they're kind of a wellspring that wells up, the influence they have on our sense of awareness is to support it, is to buoy it. It's almost like it can, if you're a practitioner and know something about being present and mindful, the underlying welling up of this aspiration to be free, to be compassionate, to be, whatever it is that comes from the depth of who we are, that it almost like it spreads and expands the sense of consciousness, the sense of awareness, rather than contracts it and narrows it. But this aspiration has to be expectation-free. It has to be free of a certain kind of conceit, all of which kind of tighten up again and narrow the scope. An aspiration that, a wish that is not compulsive, doesn't need to be fulfilled even. It's just like, this is what the heart's wish is, and if it's possible, great. If not, it just arises, and like the exhale, it just kind of can just flow out. And you don't necessarily lose aspirations like that if they don't get fulfilled or don't get acted on, any more than you lose your exhales just because you exhaled once. Another exhale will come. The aspiration, if it's a sincere, deep aspiration, it'll be there and come as well. And and so part of the advantage of sitting in meditation, being mindful, and really kind of learning to settle below the layers of agitation, layers of tension, layers of craving, is to come to a place where we have these deeper well springs of compulsive-free desires, expectation-free, where the expectation doesn't have to come with a sense of need. This needs to happen. And so this idea of noticing the difference between craving and aspiration is a very significant exercise. I think some people don't have much sense of what an aspiration is in the way I'm talking about. Maybe they've never kind of been pointed to it. And for me, I grew up without ever having any sense of what that might be. But it was through doing this Buddhist practice that I came to appreciate that there's this kind of, I called it sometimes biological drive, sometimes a biological and kind of desire, because it didn't seem to be connected to the ordinary cognitions of the mind, the ordinary kind of surface thinking and concerns, or the surface emotions. They seem to be kind of more built into kind of the depth of the whole operating system here. And so biological, I use that word in the sense that it's deeper than cognition and thinking and those things. This kind of aspiration can feed into our cognitions, our desires, our dreams, our imaginations, our all kinds of things, and they can really enrich a person's life phenomenally to come from this place. So to begin noticing a difference between craving and aspiration, and noticing the different way in which it affects you, physically, emotionally, and conscious-wise. How does it switch and change the sense of being aware, depending which one you're operating from? One of the things that I believe is often the case is that with craving, there's often a feeling of discontent. That craving can often come from a sense of lack. And so that sense of lack, we're trying to crave to fill it. We're trying to assuage it. We're trying to soothe ourselves or distract ourselves or entertain ourselves so we don't have to feel the pain of the sense of lack, emptiness that we might have. With aspiration, there's a contentment. There's a sense of no lack, a sense of fullness, because we've learned to take whatever lack, discontent there might be, and bring our attention right into it, and kind of massage it from the inside out, turn it inside out, and fill it with something that's profound. Fill it with ourselves, fill it with awareness, fill it so that the tension of lack, the tension inherent in this kind of feeling of vacuity or pain or loneliness begins to relax and soften, begins to settle. And so I associate craving with discontent and aspiration with contentment. And the funny thing about discontent is that when we're discontented, we're kind of the mind is kind of contentful. Discontent churns up thoughts and ideas and desires and aversions and projections and fantasies and all kinds of things. So discontent actually involves kind of a busy, agitated mind. So it's content. Discontent is a mind that's contentful. Contentment, on the other hand, allows for settling and quieting of the mind, and the heart. And in a certain kind of way, contentment is content-free. There's space and room for inputs, for things to arise and be there and feel more deeply what's going on in this world. Craving tends to create very little room because it's so content-full of all kinds of churning stuff. Contentment tends to be content-free in that there's room for us to feel not only the world, be aware of the world in a significant way, but also to be aware of ourselves and be aware really what's going on, to be able to be sensitive enough to start living from and feeling something that's more the depth of who we are, the fullness of who we are, rather than this funny thing of lack, which tends to be, yes, there's a sense of lack that feels empty, but then becomes kind of contentful or something. So I hope that this wordplay between, lack and fullness and contentful and content-free points you to something that's possible, that allows you to begin seeing more clearly the difference between a world lived from craving and a world lived from aspiration. And so may aspiration be your guiding light that supports you in living with desires in a way that's phenomenally free, compulsive free. So thank you very much, and I look forward to being here again with you tomorrow.